Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that starts with a terrifying crash and unfolds into a chilling mystery. A NASA space capsule, meant for a smooth re-entry, came hurtling down to Earth, crashing violently. Inside was astronaut Sam. Rescue teams rushed to the scene, pulling her from the wreckage. They got her onto a boat and sped her to the hospital, her life hanging in the balance. When Sam finally regained consciousness, the world was a dizzying blur. She looked around the sterile hospital room and saw something impossible, a pen, just floating in midair. She reached out to touch it, to see if it was real. But at that exact moment, a group of people burst into the room. When she glanced back, the pen was lying innocently on a tray. A wave of nausea washed over her, and she felt like she was going to be sick. The doctor tried to reassure her. He explained that hallucinations are a common side effect after what she'd been through. They asked her a few routine questions to check her mental state. When Sam mentioned the floating pen, the doctors had a ready explanation. "You've spent so long in zero gravity," they said. "Your brain is just used to seeing things float. Don't worry about it." They also checked her hand, which was swollen, but luckily not broken, just an injury from the violent landing. They asked her what she remembered. Sam recalled her mission. Mission Control had given her the coordinates, and everything was going perfectly. Then, disaster struck. Her capsule must have collided with something. As it plummeted towards Earth, she lost consciousness. The doctors confirmed her suspicion. Something had punched a hole right through the capsule. Even her helmet was cracked. They suspected it was a piece of space debris. Maybe a small meteor. To be sure, they had already sent particles from her suit for analysis. Later, her family came to visit. Her husband, Mark, and their daughter, Izzy, stood on the other side of a quarantine glass window. It was a painful, distant reunion. Her father, William, also came by. He brought some unsettling news. The government was launching a joint investigation with NASA into the crash. Apparently, as her capsule re-entered the atmosphere, a strange, unidentifiable frequency signal was detected. To help her recover away from the prying eyes of the media, the government arranged a special, isolated house for Sam. Dr. Michelle drove her there. She explained that the government had bought the vast stretch of land back in the 1950s for weapons testing. Now, it served as a secure location to isolate important individuals when needed. As a thoughtful gesture, they had set up a powerful telescope outside the house, so Sam wouldn't feel too disconnected from the stars she loved. That night, Sam decided to use the telescope. As she peered through the lens, a deafening ringing sound filled her ears, and a splitting headache took hold. Strange, fragmented images flashed through her mind. Michelle quickly came to calm her down, assuring her this was all part of the recovery process. A dark, ugly mark had formed on her skin. Later, while she was tidying up, her nose suddenly started to bleed. Just then, her friend Val video called her. They were chatting when Sam abruptly went silent, her eyes fixed on something outside the window. Val's voice came through the speaker, filled with concern. "Sam, Sam, look at me. What are you staring at?" Sam snapped back to reality, her voice shaky. I felt like someone was outside." She tilted the camera to show Val the view. And just for a second, a shadow flickered past the window. Val, trying to be a good friend, gave her some practical advice. She suggested Sam downplay her symptoms a bit. If she wanted NASA to clear her for another mission, she couldn't appear unstable. After the call ended, the house's lights began to flicker erratically. A loud crash echoed from another room. Heart pounding, Sam went to investigate. She found the back door wide open and muddy, wet footprints on the floor. She cautiously stepped outside and aimed the telescope towards the dense forest at the edge of the property. She saw a flicker of movement, and then it was gone. Acting on instinct, she picked up a small rock and threw it in the direction of the disturbance. But the real threat wasn't in the woods. It was much closer. It was on the roof of her house. Suddenly, the strange ringing sound returned, more intense than ever. Her mind was flooded with flashes of memory-fragmented images of people, the crash site, and moments from the accident she couldn't consciously recall. The next morning, Sam woke up to a disturbing sight. The bandage on her arm was gone, and the strange mark had grown larger and looked even worse. She tried to distract herself by making breakfast. As she reached for an egg, it lifted off the counter and hovered in the air. She tentatively reached out and touched it. The egg began to vibrate violently under her fingertips. Even when she pulled her hand away, it remained suspended in the air. The moment was shattered by the arrival of the doctors. Her concentration broke, and the egg dropped to the floor, cracking open. It wasn't a hallucination, it had really been floating. The doctors put her through another battery of tests. During a physical exercise, her leg gave out in a spasm of pain, but she gritted her teeth and insisted she was fine. The tests left her utterly exhausted. She tried icing her swollen arm, the strange mark throbbing beneath the skin. Michelle acknowledged how tough the regimen was, but stressed it was necessary for NASA. "Are you experiencing any symptoms?" she asked. Remembering Val's advice, Sam lied. "No," she said. "Everything is normal." After the doctors finally left, Sam called her husband, Mark. She tried to sound hopeful, suggesting that once she was fully recovered, they should take a family trip together. Mark's response was a cold refusal. He said a trip would just confuse Izzy, making her think everything was back to normal between them. Then, if they eventually got a divorce, it would only hurt her more. The word divorce hit Sam like a punch. "We're not even sure about that," she said, her voice trembling. "We were just talking about it." Their conversation revealed the deep cracks in their marriage. Izzy was adopted, and Sam's dedication to her career had created a chasm between her and her family. She was rarely there for Mark or Izzy. Just then, Izzy came into the room, holding up a drawing, oblivious to the tension between her parents. Later, while walking in the forest, Sam heard that same high-pitched sound again. She saw strange visions of people walking toward her, almost as if they were searching for her. When the noise stopped, she noticed a wire running under the ground. Curious, she followed it until it led her to a rock. But when she lifted it, she realized it was fake. A camera was hidden inside. Following more wires, she found several hidden cameras scattered throughout the area. This discovery made her nervous, and she quickly started heading back. Suddenly, her foot got caught on something, and she fell hard. When Sam regained consciousness, she was back in her bed. Her head was throbbing, and there was dried blood in her hair. She looked outside and saw someone. Moments later, a man entered her room, explaining they had found her injured and brought her inside. Just as Sam asked who he was, her father, William, appeared. He told her he had sent a search team when he found the house empty and scolded her for not resting. When Sam questioned him about the cameras, William confessed he hadn't told NASA everything about the house. He showed her a secret room hidden behind some furniture, which led to a massive underground bunker designed to shelter important people. William turned on a computer, and feeds from all the hidden cameras appeared on the screen. He explained that in an emergency, the house could seal itself behind a protective layer and even had built-in defense systems to attack intruders. After William left, the screen started glitching. Sam checked her arm. The strange mark had spread all the way to her shoulder. She took a photo and sent it to her friend Val, writing, "Look what's happening to me." Val simply told her to ice it and that it would get better. Later that evening, Sam was relaxing in the jacuzzi when the wind suddenly died down. She heard strange sounds coming from the forest, but a second later, the wind started blowing again. Terrified, she went back inside and tried calling Mark, but he didn't answer. Suddenly, the lights began to flicker. Sam grabbed a flashlight and stepped onto the balcony, but saw nothing unusual. When she came back inside, the lights went out completely. Standing at the door was a strange monster. Sam froze in shock. When she looked again, it was gone. The lights came back on. She opened the door and searched with her flashlight but found nothing. Rushing back inside, she activated the alarm and locked the door. As she walked toward the bedroom, the house's AI announced that an intruder was on the property and that lockdown had begun. Metal panels slid down, sealing every door and window, trapping Sam inside. Her phone had no signal. The piercing screech returned, hurting her ears. She heard a noise and turned, but nothing was there. Then, a roar echoed from a nearby room. Sam ran downstairs in terror as the creature got closer. She frantically pressed all the wall switches, but nothing worked. The house wouldn't open. The door handle to the room began to shake violently. When she pointed her flashlight at it, it stopped. A few moments later, she cautiously opened the door. A plant near the window started shaking. Scared, Sam dropped her flashlight. As she picked it up, a strange hand touched the window glass. Sam screamed and ran down to the underground bunker. She tried to use the cameras to see outside. After finding the right switch, she saw the creature sitting on the grass. The lights flickered, and it vanished. The ringing of her phone woke her up. She had fallen asleep at the desk. She ran upstairs to find William and his team there. Sam told him the generator must have an issue. William said he knew about the power outage and had already sent people to fix it. In private, Sam told him a creature was inside the house. William promised to check the security footage. Later, William and Sam reviewed the camera footage from the time she claimed to have seen the monster. The glitches were there, but the grass was empty. William told her she was overthinking everything and needed to rest. After he left, Sam used the computer to scan the entire house. The system detected 9 people, the family and William's team. Sometime later, Sam, Mark, and Izzy went for a walk in the woods. As Mark and Sam talked, they heard a strange sound, and suddenly Izzy was gone. They frantically searched for her, but she reappeared behind them, holding a dead insect. Then, all the insects in the bushes around them began making a loud, piercing noise. Thousands of bugs emerged from the forest, and the family ran back to the house.
The light was completely blocked. After a while, the swarm of insects finally left. But the window glass was now coated in a thick, sticky residue. Underneath, hundreds of dead insects littered the ground. A cleanup crew arrived, and a NASA officer noted that this was anything but normal. Sam called the lab, desperate for an update on her capsule test, but the results still weren't ready. Mark and Izzy decided to leave for a bit, but Mark promised he'd be back later that night. As they left, Sam felt a strange sensation in her foot. She took off her shoe and was horrified to see blood pooling under her toenail. She sprinted to the bathroom, ripped off her sock, and saw the infection had spread across her entire foot. When she nervously touched the nail, it peeled right off, causing her to scream in agony. She quickly wrapped her foot in a bandage and tried icing it to reduce the swelling. Suddenly, the lights started flickering again. A shiver ran down her spine as she felt something crawling across her back. She rushed to the bathroom mirror and saw the infected pattern had now snaked its way from her hand all the way up to her shoulder. The lights flickered more erratically. Panicked, Sam activated the house's alarm and ran downstairs. Strange, unsettling noises began to echo through the empty house. Just then, her phone rang. It was Mark. He said he was on his way back. Sam, her voice trembling, asked him a strange question. "Am I a good mother?" Mark was confused by her words. The lights flashed on and off, plunging the room into disorienting strobes of light and darkness. The house's AI announced that a full lockdown had been initiated. "Something is inside the house with me," Sam whispered to Mark. The noises grew louder, closer. She started heading for the safety of the bunker, but a sharp, stabbing pain shot through her waist. She collapsed, tumbling down the stairs. Her hand landed in a sticky, gel-like substance. Her phone was shattered from the fall. Strange noises echoed from the floor above. Sam limped to the computer and pulled up the house's internal scanners. The screen showed an intruder someone else was inside the house with her. The security cameras started glitching, and for a split second, a monstrous figure appeared on the screen before the feed died. She quickly shut off the monitors. The computer scanned again. This time, it detected two beings on the upper floor. Sam frantically pressed buttons on the control panel, and thick smoke started pouring from the ceiling vents, a desperate attempt to obscure her location. She ran into the kitchen as the sounds followed her. Terrified, she dove under the furniture. Through the reflective surface of the oven door, she saw the monster's silhouette. It hadn't seen her. It walked away. Seizing her chance, she bolted for the door, but another monster appeared, blocking her path. She scrambled back into hiding. When it finally moved on, Sam ran out of the room, her heart pounding. She barricaded herself inside a bathroom, her injured arm throbbing with pain. Outside, the creatures began breaking down the door. Sam hid inside the shower and noticed a small vent. She kicked the panel open and crawled inside. Meanwhile, Mark and Izzy arrived to find the house in full lockdown. Mark tried calling Sam, but the call wouldn't go through. Suddenly, Izzy spotted something and ran off into the darkness. Mark chased after her and saw her pointing toward a strange ethereal light deep inside the woods. Sam emerged from the vent into a dark corridor. After a desperate struggle, she kicked its claw away and managed to escape, squeezing through a narrow gap between the walls into a hidden space. The marks on her body were now glowing brighter, spreading faster. Eventually, she found a ladder and climbed out into the forest. As she ran through the trees, her entire body lit up with the glowing patterns. Frightening sounds echoed all around her, so loud she couldn't hear her family calling her name. Near the road, William, her adoptive father, arrived with a fully armed team. "We're dealing with an intelligent entity, not an animal," he warned them. He'd seen everything on the security cameras. His soldiers swept the house while William entered the bunker, finding it in chaos. Deep in the forest, Sam collapsed from exhaustion. The monster's sounds grew closer. She begged for her life. But then one of the creatures gently lifted her chin, its gaze filled with affection. In a strange language, it asked, "Can you understand me?" Sam was shocked. She understood every single word. More creatures appeared. "Who are you?" Sam asked, confused. The creature touched its forehead to hers. "We are your family," it said. "Remember." Her alien family had never stopped searching. They were the ones who had returned to inspect her capsule, knowing her human disguise would eventually fail. Just then, Mark and Izzy found her, surrounded by the aliens. Izzy was frightened to see her mother glowing. Sam reassured her, promising nothing would harm her. At that moment, William arrived. "I always knew what you were," he admitted. He confessed he had deliberately made her an astronaut and sent her on that mission, knowing it would lure her family back. He wanted to capture them all. William ordered his team to move in and told Sam to make her people surrender. She refused. As William raised his gun, Mark tackled him, punching him repeatedly. In that instant, Sam's human form dissolved completely, and she transformed into her true alien self. With soldiers closing in, Mark yelled for her to run. Izzy reached out her small hand, and Sam gently touched it with her claw. Then she and her family fled into the forest. By the time the soldiers arrived, a brilliant, glowing spaceship was already ascending into the night sky, leaving Earth and her human life far behind.